Ford. She's a 318, fuel heads in her stone floor. She's waiting tonight down in the parking lot outside the 7-Eleven store. Me and my partner, Sonny, built her straight out of scratch, and he rides with me from town to town. We only run for the money, we got no strings attached. We shut 'em up and then we shut 'em down. Well, tonight, the strip's just right. I wanna blow 'em all out of their seats. Well, come on out around the world, or we're going racing in the street. Take all the action we can beat, and we cover all the northeast states. When the strip shuts down, we run in the street, from the back roads to the turnpike gates. Well, our some guys, they do it for the money, other guys do it 'cause they don't know what else they do. Well, it just ain't nothing left at home. You're tired of waking up in a world that somebody else owns. Well, tonight, the strip's just right. I wanna blow 'em off in my first day. Well, summer's here and the time is right for racing in the street. He'll be back, he'll be back. All right, let's move on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
About me endlessly, logic defies. Are you not stuck with me? Will you complain about the clothes I wear? And you explain to the boys out there in this morning that it makes too much noise. And you cry, I'm always out. I quit, little darling. Yeah, no matter what I do, hurting on the street ain't good enough for you. Hey! Well, you gonna such a bore. If we stay in, say what are we living for? Understand? There's nothing I can do. There ain't no way I can satisfy you in the night. I lean in for a kiss. Here comes a pitch, swinging a miss. I quit, little darling. Yeah, no matter what I do, girl, you know it's true. Ain't good enough for you. Charles! Come on, Charlie! Melody, Professor, the melody! Whoa! Hey, little darling, come on! Yeah, no matter what I do, girl, you know it's true. Ain't good enough for you. I try to change. I got a job in sales. I bought a shirt uptown in Bloomingdale's, and babe, I tried to make the latest scene hit cool. With all the latest grooves, I full of love. With all the latest moves, I bought some flowers. I came to your door, you came out, didn't want to see me. Hey, little darling. Yeah, no matter what I do, girl, you know it's true. Ain't good enough for you. Yeah, no matter what I do, girl, you know it's true. Ain't good enough for you. All right, now, that's right. Hey, noise. 1, 2, 3. I'm over. works in a factory, and Billy works downtown. Terry works in a nights I go to the drive-in, some nights I stay home. I follow that dream just like those guys do way up on the screen. I drove a Challenger down Route 9 through the dead ends and all the big scenes. And when the promise was broken, I cashed in a few of my old dreams. Well, now I built that Challenger by myself, but I needed money and so I sold it. I lived a secret I should have kept to myself, but I got drunk one night and I told. All my life I fought this fight, the fight that no man can ever win. Every day just gets harder to live. This dream I'm believing in. Thunder roll. Ah, baby, you were so right. Thunder roll. There's something dying down on the highway tonight. Well, I went big once and I hit the coast. Yeah, but somehow I paid the big cost. Inside I felt like I was carrying the broken spirits of all the ones who were lost. When the promise is broken, you go on living, but it's still something from down in your soul. Like when the truth is spoken, and it don't make no difference. Something in your heart turns cold. Thunder rolls. It's one for the lost lovers and all the fake games. Thunder rolls. Here's one for the tires rushing by in the rain. Thunder rolled. Remember what me and Billy would always say. Thunder rolled. We were gonna take it all and throw it all away. Yeah, David Lindley. That's right. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you. Decorations of red on a green Christmas tree. Want me to think, babe, if you're not here with me. You of you. All right. We'll see you down the road. A lot of love. Thanks, guys. Very good, darling. Wonderful dancing. Thank you. Terrific. Hey, Bricktown, Bricktown. Hey, guys.
The moment has arrived. It's the eve of the release of Bruce's new album, The Promise, and that means you talk with Bruce live, exclusively on E Street Radio.
If you're talking to me, you better talk loud.
Arrayed in front of me are 20 people who amongst the 3,000, more or less, who submitted questions in this contest. The contest was whoever could submit the best question to ask Bruce tonight was going to win. We wanted to have something that had some flow to it. We wanted to ask the basic, fundamental questions about The Promise and Darkness on the Edge of Town box set that's coming out, and The Promise 2 disc set that's coming out with it. Ready to go, Bruce?
Let's go.
All right.
He said with trepidation.
Jeanette from Chemung, New Jersey.
Promised Land is one of the most inspiring rock and roll songs of all time.
Keep going.
With all the songs,
Doing great so far. All right.
with all the songs that were written and recorded for the Darkness album, how close did that song come to not making the cut?
That song had never had a problem being on the record. You know, that song, Badlands, I think Racing in the Street, Prove It On. A lot of the songs that ended up on were never, those songs were songs that were never considered to be taken off. Most of the things that ended up on were when I came on something, I knew I want this on. The record was so tight that by the time we got there, and it took us a long time to get there, and Darkness on the Edge of Town itself was the very last thing we recorded, I started to have a really good sense of what I wanted. So,
Bruce, what song made you lose the most sleep over by not putting it on Darkness?
well, by the time we got done with Darkness, we'd been working at it so long, sleep was easy to come by because we were like, I didn't lose sleep over anything. I think, I was just glad it was done. I remember I went back to my hotel room, I put it on a little record player, I listened to it, I said I don't like it, and then we put it out. I knew that at that point, this was the best I could do, and I could not do anything more or better at that particular moment. So I suppose, there's a lot of talk about The Promise, but I was pretty certain that I wasn't comfortable with that song at the moment, and so I didn't, once again, I just, if I wasn't certain of something, I left it by the wayside.
Some nights I go to the drive-in.
I don't have any regrets. When it shuts down at those last notes of Darkness, that's what I had to say. We worked so hard over the years on these records, and we made so much music, and we worked hard on the music that we didn't put out. And the nice thing about it is that it's still there. It's it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there, and I think we're at a point where it's nice to just have this stuff officially see the light of day.
When the promise was broken, I cashed in a few of my dreams.
Patrick from Homer Glen, Illinois.
Bruce, I've heard you say when you're performing, you get your energy from the crowd. You like to see who's alive and filled with your music, and that drives your performance. I was wondering what it was like playing the Darkness DVD without an audience.
Well, everybody's got a secret.
It's not very hard at all because the initial dialogue is the dialogue you're having inside yourself.
Folks, they spend their whole lives just trying to keep it. They carry it with them every step that they take.
Everything starts there.
Till one day, they just cut it loose. Cut it loose and let it drag them down.
Badlands, Darkness on the Edge of Town, these are all battles and conversations I'm having inside of myself that I've had for my entire life, and I still have today.
The darkness on the edge of town.
So when you walk out to an empty theater, it's never really empty. There's all those voices inside your head, my friend.
Darren from Springfield, Mass. is next.
Thank you. Was there ever a point in the creative process of making Darkness that you became so frustrated with the lawsuit and the time it was taking to settle and move forward that you ever thought about giving up the rock and roll dream?
No.
I tried to change. I got a job in sales. I bought a shirt uptown in Bloomingdale's, and babe, I tried to make the latest scene hitting cool, just like Jimmy Iovine. I bought a record with all the latest grooves, a book of love with all the latest moves.
We had no other skills. I always tell my kids, I said, look, you know, you are lucky that we were born in the era of reproducible technology. Otherwise, you would be in the back of a wagon and I would be wearing a clown's hat. and so there's no question about like, gee, we were gonna do something else, you know. It was like that was never, you know, there was no alternative.
Kathy from Paramus, New Jersey.
Hi.
Paramus,
Shopping
in a leopard
capital.
skin top, you sassy thing.
Now I can't talk. Which character from The Promise would you most want your children to understand?
Promise, which character?
You mean the Promise album, right?
Yeah, the whole box. The whole box
Oh,
set.
the whole thing.
Oh, the whole body, including Darkness.
Racing in the street sums up a lot for me. I suppose I would like them to be untouched by that particular sadness if I could, you know? But that's not the way the world works. I think that song's still very emotional for me. You say you'd like to let them have that understanding without the pain, but it's not possible. I guess what I would like them to do would be to have the resilience and the wherewithal to be able to navigate their way through that kind of pain, because that's what we all have to do.
from Norwalk, Connecticut.
Hi, Bruce. A promise is a huge thing, especially when you give it out millions of times in a song. What is it that you, as a songwriter, promise your children and your listeners in these songs and in your work?
I've said this in the past many times. I think that our lives were impacted so intensely by the records that we heard.
Taxi cab, taxi.
In my house, that was the available source of unregulated information. No one could have guessed in 1960, as I was a 10-year-old pouring sugar onto my sugar pops in the kitchen, all right, that while I was doing that, I was being brainwashed by some of sort of the most beautiful music and voices and meaningful, one of the most things that would become the most meaningful in my life. My mother didn't know. She had a little tiny radio with a little tiny speaker on and blaring out the top 40 hits on a daily basis. It was stuff that literally altered the way I thought about everything.
You ready to take a couple of questions from people we can't see?
I suppose.
All right. We've got Alex in D.C. is the first one.
Hi, Bruce.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. Darkness is a poetic and dramatic and cinematic record in its lyrics and tone. So I've always wondered, What were you reading at the time, and how literature impacts your process?
I don't remember reading anything at the time, really. I think that I didn't really start reading till I was right around that age and a little bit later, actually, my late 20s. At the time, we were all fueled up on hot top 40 records and films. In fact, a friend of mine just sent me a great movie poster from the film called The Young Racers, and the tagline was, a little death in the day, a lot of lovin' in the night. And that was the vibe we were going for right there.
I got a 32 Ford, she's a 318, fuel the edge in her stone floor. She's waiting tonight down in the parking lot outside the 7-Eleven store. Me and my partner, Sonny, built her straight out of scratch, and he rides with me from town to town. We only run for the money, we got no strings attached. We shut 'em up and then we shut 'em down. Well, tonight.
Of music and film. Film began to become quite important to me. In how I started to put things together.
Well, come on out around the world, or we're going racing in the street. We take all the action we can meet, and we cover all the northeast states. When the strip shuts down, we run 'em in the street, from the back roads to the turnpike gates. Well, now some guys, they do it for the money, other guys do it 'cause they don't know what else they can do. Well, it just ain't nothing left at home. You're tired of waking up in a world that somebody else owns. Well, tonight, the strip's just right. I wanna blow 'em off in my first day. Well, summer's here and the time is right for racing in the street.
My question pertains to the recording of the outtakes on The Promise on the CD. How difficult was it for you to go back and work on your songs that were constructed over 30 years ago? How much of a challenge was it to finish the songs?
I did it pretty casually. I thought I'd have 4, 5, or 6 outtakes. I was more relaxed now to finish some things that were left unfinished.
Well, I went big once and I hit the coast. Yeah, but somehow I paid the big cost. Inside I felt like I was carrying the broken spirits of only the ones who were lost. When the promise is broken, you go on living, but it's still something from down in your soul. Like when the truth is spoken, and it don't make no difference. Something in your heart turns cold.
And we dug up The Promise, which is That's all completely original, the way we recorded it. That would have been the version that would have been on the record if we'd have used it, you know.
And all the fixed games.
Some things needed some lyrics, some things needed a vocal part here or there. The great benefit of the time was simply perspective. I did it pretty much in my spare time, 2-3 hours in the afternoon most of the time. I'd done all the sweating, so. But it was fun to go back and find all that music there. That I didn't expect that.
We were gonna take it all and throw it all away. David Lindley. That's right. Okay.